I always wanted to write a book, and someone I used to work with wrote a book. His book had just come out a few months ago. I called him up and I said, Shinjin, I want to hear about your book experience. Can we have lunch? And he told me about how he worked with this company. He wrote the book and they helped him through it and guided him with everything. And I was like, well, I always wanted to write a book. I never had the time, and I have time now. So let's write a book and see what happens from there. So I started writing. I said, okay, I love training people. Maybe I'll put together some training, look for speaking opportunities while I was writing the book. Writing the book was incredibly eye-opening because when I started writing the book, I had no idea where it was going to go. I had a folder on my laptop that had a bunch of stories and a bunch of things I had written in the past, like 10 years, that I had saved and said, someday I'll put them in a book. I was thinking of the concept of my book and working with my publishing team. I was asked who inspires me. And I had just done a 5K, and I'm the woman who, for a nonprofit, and the woman who ran the 5K was someone who really inspired me. And she ended up being the introduction in my book. And that's how I kind of got started on the book.
Tell us about that moment when she inspired you.
Yeah. Her name was Dominique, and I knew a little bit about her. I was in a networking group where I'd heard about her, but I didn't know her whole story. And she was when I met her, she was incredibly vibrant, young 40s, just full of energy. And at the 5K, she shared her story about how about 5 or 6 years prior, she started feeling sick. She started having symptoms. She had pain. She couldn't eat. She had all kinds of symptoms. Got to the point where she couldn't walk. She was in constant pain. She was in a wheelchair, and the doctors did a lot of testing, and she ended up being diagnosed with MS. And I think there were 30 symptoms of MS, and she had like 29 of them. So she was in really bad shape. And, she didn't want to live this way. At one point, she said she had even contemplated suicide. She didn't know what she was going to do. And she had a dream one night. And in that dream, God came to her and told her she had a mission. And she actually saw this bird, the phoenix, like coming. And the next day, she knew that she had a mission and she needed to do something. So she started looking at ways to cure symptoms of MS, and she completely changed her diet. She changed her lifestyle. She tried, everything, massage, acupuncture, hypnosis, and any kind of holistic thing you could think of. She tried different diets. Coincidentally, her husband, a couple of years prior to this, out of the blue, had said, I'm going to become a chef. He had switched his career. And that was just part of her plan because he was able to help her with the nutrition and creating recipes. And had he not decided to become a chef, that never would have happened. And she pretty much, put all of her symptoms on hold where she doesn't feel them. You would never know she was sick. And she started this nonprofit to help other people who suffer from autoimmune disorders. And the nonprofit is growing. It's currently, not only does it help people and it has resources, but she's looking at having an inpatient facility where people could come and get the support they need. And she's changed so many lives from what happened to her, for her misfortune. And that just got me thinking about, wow, I've met other people, I've met Dominique and I've met other people who had horrible, horrible things happen to them. Yeah. And instead of just getting stuck or crumbling, they turned it around and they did something amazing. And they took their struggles and they not only did they help themselves, but they helped so many more people. And I wanted to see what it was that enabled them to do it when so many other people can't. So that was the topic of the book. And I started interviewing people like Dominique to find out what gives them the power and the strength to overcome.
Wow. And then she became the MC of your book launch party.
She was the MC at my book launch party. She's been instrumental in, helping to publicize the book. Yeah. And she's become a good friend. So
what happened after the book? Because at this point, how do I take something that I'm passionate about, something that I care about, something that means something to me, but also find a way to turn it into something that I could live off of? Tell us a little bit more about that journey.
Nobody is going to become rich from writing a book. It's not really a living wage unless you happen to be very lucky or have written numerous books and, get to the point where you're Stephen King or someone who's really
Yeah.
making, or if you're starting out like a president, a movie star, then you can sell your book. But if you're not famous to begin with, you'll make a little money, but you're not going to live off of it.
Yeah.
I felt like I had now credibility because I had the book. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I love teaching people. I had been doing leadership development training for probably the last 20 years. So I was
Mm-hmm.
already in the training area, and I've been speaking on behalf of my company as well for many years. So I said, okay, well, I can look at speaking. I can be a keynote speaker. I can speak at conferences. Maybe I can get paid for some speaking. I took a course on someone that talked about selling from stage, which was totally new
Mm-hmm.
concept to me. I'd never heard of that before. Since when you're
Mm-hmm.
in business, you're selling from stage, but you're not really
Yeah.
selling people. You're just talking about it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let's see if I can do that. So what am I going to sell? So I
Yeah.
started putting together a course. And as I did this, I was following what I wrote in the book. I was following my intuition, what the people I interviewed had taught me. I took some coaching certification classes and was very
Mm-hmm.
happy that what they taught me was really what I wrote in the book. So a lot of what they
Yeah.
taught me, I already knew, but they kind of confirmed it. And I became certified. I really learned a lot more about the unconscious mind and how much power we have over ourselves. And as an
Yes.
engineer, it's not something you think of very often. You're very, in your logical brain and conscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing in numbers. You deal with people a little bit, but you're not really looking deep inside yourself.
Yeah.
And that was something that I really learned to do through my coaching training. And it's been so powerful because now I know how to get rid of fears, how
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of what's limiting me. I know where these things come from, and I can help other
Yeah.
people do the same. And I'm actually trying to reach out and help other engineers do the same because I could have done so much more with my life and my career and even for the business
Yeah.
because I feel like I was just missing